how do you handle production support in a Scrum team? I get this question a lot, and today I'm gonna give you a complete answer with tons of scenarios and solutions. First, let's define production support. Production support simply means maintaining your production environment. You released an application, a product, a feature to the customer, and then you need to maintain it, ensure that it works at an acceptable level. This usually means getting support tickets. Things are breaking and you need to fix them. Production support is generally categorized into two things. First, the production system, the application is not working at an acceptable level and something needs to be done. Or second, you found a bug, the developers need to fix it. There's a bug that the developers need to fix. In both these categories, a sort of investigation needs to be done prior. We need to take that into consideration in our sprint when planning our sprint. Let me be blunt here. What's the goal of a sprint? The goal of a sprint is to get a piece of work or multiple things done. Done. Not partly done, not half done. No, done. And done work doesn't have any bugs. Simply because you met all the acceptance criteria. If you didn't meet one of these acceptance criteria, it means that there's a bug. What does that truly mean? It means that the work was not done. You believe that the work is done, but it was never done. So please stop writing crappy code. Fix that first. Most of your production issues can be simply fixed by getting work done. The original intention was always done, ensuring that all the acceptance criteria are met. Obviously, I know, it takes time. That's a long-term solution, so let's try to find a short-term solution together. Now, how do you deal in the short term with escaped defects? In production, there's an issue the team has investigated and we realize that there's something that needs to be fixed. A bug. The number one thing that we need to do is the product owner needs to ensure that it's been prioritized. We need to do that in the sprint because we don't want to distract the team. We already have a sprint goal. We already know what to do. We should reduce the distractions to a bare minimum. Let them focus. Do we need to do that? Do we really need to fix that in this sprint? If the answer is no, we move that to the next sprint. And 70 to 80% of your escaped defects can wait till the next sprint, if you're honest. If we need to resolve this bug in the sprint, it's a priority ticket or issue that we need to fix right now because it's affecting multiple customers. We simply go ask the team. Go ask the team. Don't, as a product owner, tell them what to do. Never do that. Anyone who received this bug, go ask the team who is available to work on that. Remember, the goal of a sprint is a team goal. Everyone is working towards, progressing towards the sprint goal. It's not individual goals. So when you get a piece of work, everyone should be involved also. The team is deciding together who is best suited to work on fixing this issue because that was not planned, this work. It's distracting them from meeting the sprint goal. So we need to ensure that we fix this issue but still achieve the sprint goal. That's why we say that the sprint backlog can change. Work can change in the sprint. That's totally fine as long as the sprint goal is not impacted. So ask the team. And once the team finds someone, let them work on that. Again, we're not taking additional work here. A discussion needs to take place between the developer and the product owner to ensure that when an additional piece of work crops up in the sprint, something else is deprioritized without affecting the sprint goal. Now, if this situation happens often, again, simply write better code. But in the short term, your velocity, the velocity of a team will definitely be impacted. What do? You need to reflect that. You need to reflect this impact on velocity, this impact on your ability to complete work. You have two options here. Either you can estimate these bugs, these fixes that you're doing. If you can't estimate this, because depending on where you work, your organization or what the team decided, you simply allow your velocity to drop. That's totally fine because you're working on fixing these bugs. It won't be reflected in the velocity and you're allowing your velocity to drop. Your velocity is only concerned with things that you need to implement, changes to the application, new pieces of work. So the more bugs you receive to fix, the less your velocity will be. And the decrease in velocity will simply be explained by these bugs, the system failing. Option 2 is when you can actually estimate these bugs, these tickets, these production issues. That's the preferred approach. You start your sprint, you don't know anything, you don't have any data. You start your sprint and you figure out how much story points have been allocated to fixing these issues by the end of a sprint. So at the end of a sprint, you categorized everything and you realize that out of 100 points that the team completed, 40 points went to fixing bugs and 60 points went to new features, developing, changing new features, new pieces of work. You have data now. So in the next sprint, what do you need to do in the next sprint? Remember, velocity is to predict the future. We are trying to stabilize velocity with this data. What should you do? You should pick only 60 points of new pieces of work. You can't pick 100 points of new pieces of work because the data shows you that you can only complete 60 points. Well, it's one sprint. It doesn't give all the information. We usually take the average of the last 3 sprints, but you only completed one sprint. So use what you've got. Only 60 points in terms of new changes to the application, and you allocate 40 points to fixing these tickets, these bugs. And at any point during the sprint, if you feel that there's no longer production issues coming in, there's still some points left in this 40, you can use this allocated time to actually work on new pieces of work and leave it to the Scrum team to self-organize around that. Now, who works on these? The Scrum team works on these tickets and the changes at the same time, or a separate team works on fixing production issues and another team works on changing the application, new pieces of work. What do you think? Well, it depends. You need to experiment with both these options. I prefer 2 separate teams. Production support, that's Scrum Team 1, and Scrum Team 2 works on new pieces of work. The Scrum Team 2 usually have some hard, tight deadlines, and they shouldn't be distracted. That's one of the big advantages. When you're working on new pieces of work, you're not getting distracted by production support. So you're more predictable. Technically, you're more predictable. And same thing for production support because we are not getting distracted. But a major downside to this approach is what do you do for people working in the production support? They can't do that for multiple years or even a few weeks. They'll be bored. No one wants to work on support tickets. Everyone wants to work on the new features. That's more entertaining. That's more engaging, more motivating. What do you do? Well, the simple answer is rotating these people. So if you do sprint or even every sprint, you take someone from the production support team and you swap them with the changes team. We have a big problem now. It simply means that the Scrum team, the whole Scrum team, need to know everything. They need to be T-shaped, know all the applications that the team is maintaining, all the pieces of work, all the codes. They need to be aware of that, because if someone here in Team B doesn't know one of the applications, they won't be able to do production support, and they shouldn't be allowed to distract the other team. They can distract members of their team, but they shouldn't be allowed to distract members of the other team. So you need to always ensure that this team, the production support team, have all the knowledge. And the same applies for the new pieces of work also. To be able to develop new pieces of work, you need to have some specific skills and knowledge. This team should also have all this knowledge and skills required. It's not always possible. But takes a lot of effort to share this knowledge. It's demanded. The team should be cross-functional, self-managed. There shouldn't be different sections in the team. Everyone should be able to help each other. But it's not always possible. And if it's not possible for you, go for the other option, a single Scrum team, both working on production support and also new pieces of work. There will be tons of distractions, and that's a big issue. The more distractions, the less predictable you are. Now, the most important part of this video, no matter what options you choose, all the things that we talked about, the number one thing, the most important thing is to ensure that you're constantly working on reducing the number of production tickets that you get. Don't only fix the issues, fix the root causes of the issue. Why are we getting so many bugs? We talked about that earlier. Bugs mean that the work has never been completed. Why? Why is the work never been completed? Why did we miss some acceptance criteria? Fix the root causes of the issue. Server issues, fix the root causes of the issue. Don't just restart the server. That's all about efficiency. And this efficiency will allow you to be more effective, produce better quality products. Because believe me, no one wants to work on support tickets. Everyone wants to do the new features, the new changes. And the more time you allocate to people to actually work on more entertaining, interesting things, the more motivated they are and the more value they will produce for the team and for the company and for the customer. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now. And I'll see you in a few seconds.